Hey everybody, welcome back to the video. So today we're gonna be learning about JSX in ReactJS. So let's get started. So basically JSX, the full form of JSX is basically JavaScript XML, which is basically very much simplified code. So basically the topic about JSX is basically it's gonna let us write, or the users write code in JavaScript and HTML. So which is pretty convenient because we can understand a lot, and the code is much more simpler. So today what I'm gonna show you guys is the code with JSX and the code without JSX, and you guys are able to answer which is more convenient, with using JSX or without using JSX. So let's get started. So first, the requirements we need is a new file, because I already created before because I had to delete it again. So let's go ahead and do test dot. Since we are learning about JSX, we're gonna do .jsx. And basically .js are completely kind of like old files, let's say. So now basically now onwards we are gonna use this .jsx much more than usual. So yeah, let's first go ahead and import React. So now in this video you're gonna understand about one more thing. Why do we use React? I mean, there's one part. There's one of the reason. This is one of the reason why we use React or import React. And now what we can do is we can use a functional component. So function hello, and inside this function I'm gonna have return. And now what we can do is we can return an h1 tag. So this is how JSX would look like. So let's go ahead and say this is some text, and let me spell this right. So this is how JSX would look like, JavaScript and HTML. So let's go ahead and export this real quick so that we can import it elsewhere. So let's go ahead and export default hello. Oh, we use the tag, so let's go ahead and remove that. Hello, there we go. So now we have our exporting, we are exporting this. And now what we can do is, if you want to use this component, what you can do is you can import hello, and there we go. So just mention the file name sometimes, and there we go. So now we did it. And now what we can do is we can use this hello component. So what we can do is use hello. There we go. So that works. Now let's go ahead and create a terminal. I forgot to do that. So let's go ahead and do, let's just wait, cd react tutorial, and there we go, npm start. And this is gonna basically start our deployment server, because I already said you guys, but I'm just gonna say. So let's just wait until it just starts our deployment server, and let's go ahead and wait. So now that works. So it's been a few seconds and our deployment has started, and I didn't make any changes. So let me just go ahead and resize this terminal. And there we go. I didn't make any changes. As you can see, it's still the same, and that's the same too, and it does work. So this is some text, this is pretty straightforward because we already know this is gonna work. But now let me show you guys how it's gonna be without JSX. So let's go ahead and do React dot, and what we can do is we are basically gonna do something very basic. So before, what we did is we are doing this. Let me just go get the hello. So normally what we are doing is we are getting the text like this using this tag, h1 tag. So now what we can do is let's go ahead and remove the h1 tag. So what it's have to work, our goal is basically it should work the same. So let me just copy this text so that we don't have to write it again. Okay, so now we are done with that. So now our goal is basically to work the same. So first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the React we imported right there. React.create element. This is gonna let us create an element, which is basically our h1 element. And so yeah, it's not a tag. I mean, you can say a tag, but element is more better way. So let's go ahead and basically let's go ahead and do h1. I'm gonna explain that later though. I just want to explain one thing, so let's go and do that later. So we have our h1 tag. Basically the first parameter should be our h1 tag, and the second one is basically if you want to have an ID or class or something like that. And the third, no, you can have more, but these are the three parameters we want to have. And there we go. So this is some text, which is our output, what we wanted. And now let's go ahead and see something. There we go. So that works. Let me just go ahead and reload this. And there we go. So our goal does work. This is some text that works. So let's say you want to have a div tag, but inside it you want to have the same thing. So let me just go ahead and delete it. So now what you can do is you can have div and null. If you want to have a class or ID, you can do that. Feel free to do that. And inside the third parameter, what we're going to do is we have to create another element, because h1 is another element. So what we're going to do is create element, and now we're going to do the way we treated before, null, since we don't need any class or ID. And the next thing is to be this some text. And now it still works, but still we cannot see how it works. So let me just go ahead and click inspect to show you guys that it does show our div tag and so let me just go ahead and not head tag but the body tag, and let me just go ahead and this is not the one, I guess. Let's just go ahead and do the div. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's our div tag, div id root. That's not the one we wanted, but that's already defined one. So this is the thing we wanted, our div tag. These three are the elements we created, or two, because it's an ending. So these are the two elements we created, a div and our h1 element. So these are both the things we created. So if I hover over the div, as it shows right here, it kind of like shows a blue mark right there. And this thing h1 is basically just gonna say the h1 tag. So yeah, that's how this thing works. So we understand how do you create this JSX. So till now we understand everything, but now I just want to answer a question: which is simpler, JSX or without using JSX? So the answer basically depends on your choice, but sometimes, so this is the way it works. So sometimes if you want the code to be simpler and stuff, you can use JS, like normal React JSX. But if you want to do something like this for some reason, you can do that. You can, I mean, the only thing is it's gonna be so long. So, and the one more thing I want to mention is we have our h1 tag before, right? You remember that? So that's basically gonna call the same thing. Basically, we don't have a div tag, but except that it's gonna do the same thing. This thing right here. So it's gonna do the same exact thing. So that's how this JSX works at that time or now. So oh yeah. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.